I know you shared this in the book too, that unforgiveness not only affects us, but it affects those around us because we displace our anger and our feelings on them. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure, sure. Let me just unpack that with you a few minutes here. First of all,
Okay.
I'll tell you one of the things God had to do in my life was, again, as I said earlier, He had to change my perspective. And the way
Uh-huh.
God did that is, I'll go back to when we were teenagers. When we were teenagers, we didn't have a million channels. We didn't have the phone in our hand. I'm a Gen Xer, so I drank water from a hose, and I came in when the street lights were on. You know, Mom didn't know how to call you, but she always knew how to get a hold of you. So,
Yeah.
but I'll say this, that when we came home from high school, and I remember being in high school in the early 80s, we only had PBS, and in our area it was called Channel 2. And on Channel 2, our PBS station, Bob Ross, the painter, everybody knows Bob Ross, the
Yeah.
Afro, everybody,
Uh-huh. I remember him.
yeah. And Bob Ross in a half hour, in my untrained, our eyes would paint a masterpiece. I'd be eating my bowl of cereal coming home from school. I'd be eating my Captain Crunch, and I'd see from a blank canvas for a masterpiece. Happy, never mistakes, happy little trees. But at the end of almost every painting that Bob Ross did, he'd put a tree in front of the subject. So if he painted a lake or a cabin or a mountain or a fire, whatever he was painting, at almost the last 2 minutes of every show, he'd put a tree in front of the subject. And what he
Mm.
was doing, I found out a year later, by us viewing it, he was changing our perspective. He was taking the subject and giving it depth. He was saying the cabin is not as close as it looks now because there's something in front of it. So it makes it look further away. And I thought about this all the time, like this old song that got caught in your head. I thought, Lord, why am I thinking about this Bob Ross painting? And one day the Lord said to me, Lord said, Mark, if you put my cross in front
Hmm.
of your hurts, if you put my cross of Calvary, you put my love, it's going to put some depth. Sometimes when we have pain, and this goes back to answer the question you just asked me, when
Uh-huh.
when we have unforgiveness, when we have pain, when we have sorrow, it's so close that it
Yeah,
pours
it
out.
is.
It pours
Yeah,
out
it
to
is.
people, it pours out to people that
It
we
oozes and
love.
spills out on them.
That's right. That's right. It just, we think we have it hidden, but we usually have it buried under that soft veneer. And as soon as it's touched, or we think it's going to get touched, we lash out. And usually we lash out at the people who love us.
Yeah.
We kind of, so we lash out, but by God saying, put me in front of that pain, put me in front of that
Mm.
hurt, put me in front of that sorrow. I'm so thankful that God has helped me change my perspective. I see Christ first. Oh, I don't deny what I went through. I don't
Yeah.
deny that it's a part of my story, a part of my narrative, it's a part of my testimony, but it's
Yeah.
not who I am. The worst part of my life does not have to be the sum of my life.
Yeah. And your identity is in Christ.
Amen.